Privateers coming in with letters of marque, and holy shit, I cannot wait to see how this one plays out. I've got Mario here with me this morning. Good morning, sunshine. How you holding up?
I'm all right. Good morning, all. Sorry for my
So
poor participation rates this week, but
we're getting you back.
got me
We're
now.
getting you back on point, and we got the deep dive coming up tomorrow, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Mike Lee has introduced a bill to basic. It's called the Reauthorization Act, right? The Reauthorization Act of Patriots of the Caribbean. Mike Lee authorizes. Let me pull the article up for you real quick. No, you're not supposed to be in that window. You're supposed to be over here, shithead.
Yar har diddle dee dee. Looking.
You know, I seriously considered making a sea shanty about American privateers, but I couldn't quite get the lyrics the way I wanted them. So I had to put a pin in that one to get the rest of the show put together. So Patriots of the Caribbean, Mike Lee bill authorizes American privateers to seize cartel assets with president's approval. Interestingly, I would like to point out right off the rip, Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution creates the authority of the president to issue letters of marque and reprisal. And quite simply, that has never gone away. He has always had the authority to do that. The Constitution has not been amended to remove that authority from the president. So, in all fairness, hang on. In all fairness, this is a bit of a political optics maneuver because the law does not require that the authority be restored to the president. He has the authority. He could just do this.
But Chris, I'm the poor stupid kid at the back of the classroom who doesn't understand anything. What, Mr. Chris? What is a letter of marque? What does that mean?
So historically,
what is a privateer?
Historically, governments would issue letters of marque and reprisal to essentially merchant vessels who would willingly arm themselves and go and conduct what amounted to piracy activities against hostile foreign seafaring nations. Right. So basically, the letter of marque and reprisal says you're a pirate, but you're our pirate. So with a letter of marque and reprisal, you could be out on the high seas conducting not technically law enforcement because you're outside of the U.S. territory. This does not extend any kind of authority to American citizens, civilians to conduct activities within the United States territories. This is for the conduct of activities on land and sea outside of U.S. territory. But effectively, you would be like pseudo Coast Guard vigilantes, except you're not actually vigilantes because you're operating with full faith and support of the U.S. government, the U.S. Constitution, and the lawful authority to conduct activities.
So letters of marque legalize the establishment of privateers. Okay, privateers are effectively they're not the official navy of your country. Okay, and this began between England and France. Okay,
yeah, it's basically wet militia.
All right, so yeah, and Sir Walter
they're
Raleigh,
soggy militiamen.
Sir Walter Raleigh could be considered the very first privateer. Okay, for Queen Elizabeth.
Yep.
All right. Now,
and Pitt Danny points out Blackbeard was a privateer.
Yes, he was. Edward Teague or whatever is right in his name.
Yeah, Edward Teague.
Yeah. So, right. So it's a way of being able to unofficially via proxy, okay, attack an enemy. All right, without using the legally authorized use of like your own actual military. Okay. So yeah, establishing piracy. Now the British and the French, had issued letters of marque, all right, and would engage in proxy wars in the Caribbean. And occasionally you would get these privateers who would go rogue and basically go into business for themselves. Okay, hence Edward Teague. All right, so
And
there's
that's
a,
when a privateer becomes a pirate.
that's right, that's right. So it's a long and storied history in the Caribbean. So yes, this would be I guess, a return to normalcy in a sense, right? How would this play out? I don't know, man. I'm getting images in my head of when in the movie Jaws, the original 1974 Jaws. Okay, when the town issued a $10,000 bounty for the great white to kill the shark, right? And
Yeah.
every Yahoo in town was overloading dinghies heading out into the water trying to find the shark. Okay,
Well, there's a
using,
reason. There's a
using
reason the thumbnail has
yes,
these guys in like a bass boat on the left, a bunch of rednecks with cold beers and and cannons, and then these country club yachters on the right.
hmm
I think this is something that could bring the classes together, man.
yeah. If you well, I mean, not really, not really. Boats are expensive. Boat is a pretty clear class indicator. Okay.
It is.
Um,
It is.
Jiggly from down under, he wants to get involved. He said Australia is ready for privateering. Okay, yeah, I mean,
I tell you
the
what, Jiggly, you should meet us. You should meet us on a Saturday
no
morning. You should meet us on a Saturday morning at Huey's on River Street. We'll do mimosas for brunch, and then we'll take a Zodiac out and eat up some cartel.
Zodiac, Zodiac killer. What are you talking about?
Yeah, the survival raft.
Man, ain't no one know what that shit is. Australia, no, Australia's not going to be privateering in the Caribbean. Okay, Australia's got its own problem, right? They need to issue letters of marque to just head out into the water and exterminate the Indonesian boat people. All right, that's what they need. Of course, not that it do a whole hell of a lot of good, considering that the government just invites these fucking savages in anyway. But still, maybe if you can, maybe if you could get the boat people coming from Indonesia and beyond classified as anti-Semites, then the government might do something about it. Okay, Australia.
And
You
the
know,
funny bit
there
about
you go.
that is
That's the
they
strategy.
are.
That's the
The
strategy.
funny bit about that is they are, although
Yes, of
not
course.
classified officially,
Mhm.
to a man, aggressive anti-Semites.
Yep. hmm
Oh,
Yeah.
Sergeant Major says Australia needs street gangs to do the job of the police. You know what? I'd be pretty comfortable with something akin to a letter of marque for domestic operations. So you don't straight legalize vigilantism. Rather, you have like an application process where you go in and you're like, "Hey, I served my country with honor. Uh, I, you can trust me. I'm good for a TS clearance, and you got a bunch of bad people out here that I'm willing to deal with. Also, I'll be sending you invoices."
Jiggly is correct in that the Australians have followed us in every war since World War One. That is correct. Okay, you are, and we thank
Yes.
you. Please understand that amphibious assault at Gallipoli in World War One, that was Winston Churchill's fault, not ours. Okay, so anyway,
Jiggly, I
yes.
was chit chatting with one of your Aussie brothers at a skiff in Bagram. It was either Bagram. I think it was Bagram. It was either Bagram or Kandahar, and
Mhm.
there there were some guys doing the whole one-upsman game. I did this thing. Well, I did this bigger thing back and forth, and I learned the term "elevener," which I thought was funny. Apparently it's something that Australians say about a person who's constantly doing the one-up game, because people will go on vacation to Tenerife, and the one-up guy says, "Yeah, well, I went to Elevener Reef."
Funny requires context, but funny.
It does. It
Pit
does.
Danny, Pit Danny asks, "Is Eric Prince a privateer?" Privateer is exclusively for naval, but in a sense, yes. Okay, the land based privateer would be a mercenary, and yes, Eric Prince is a mercenary. Yep.
Sergeant Major points out if you take money from a drug dealer, you can keep the money. Go ahead, Mario. You look like you were about to say something.
Well, yeah. I mean, we can get into that in a minute. But what would this look like in the United States? It would look like when you see those like flotillas of people with their privately owned boats. Okay, kind of congregating in the shallows in certain areas in South Florida for like little Trump boat parties. All right, I'm sure you've seen it. Okay, during
Yep.
during the elections, right? The Trump boat parties. That's what it would look like.
And
Except
frankly,
everyone,
one of those Trump boat parties is enough manpower that, if armed, that's a legitimate naval force.
and well, I mean, I've been to one. I got invited to one actually, and it was great. It was like 4 days of booze, 4 hours of just boozing out in the sun on the water. Okay, swimming. Just it was a good time. Okay, and everyone's got a boat. All right, and people just kind of go from boat to boat. Congregate. Anyway, and it's a funny thing because everyone's having a good time and everyone's looking around and it's like, why is this so great? And everyone suddenly we all realize like, oh, there's no black people.
God damn it,
Anyway,
Mario.
it's true. So, but that's what it would look like. These privateers. It'd be flotillas of boats like that heading out into the Gulf of Mexico, and shooting at people.
And it's not that far. It's not that far away. We could be there this afternoon, brother.
Yeah. Well,
I could meet you in the Panhandle, and we could just charter a yacht.
boats not on the menu today, unfortunately. But
No.
yeah, then that leads to another thing. You have deep sea fishing vessels that go out. Like tourist ships. Load them up. Everyone gets bring your own rod, or we'll provide one for you. We go out into international waters, go fishing, and then come back at the end of the day. That's a common thing. You could retrofit that for, in fact, pirate shooting. Or for narco killing, right? Interesting.
And while it would be expensive, it wouldn't be terribly difficult to retrofit a deep sea fishing yacht with, I don't know, a quad deuce.
Yeah, I mean the Russians have been doing this already for years. They've been marketing pirate shooting vacations. Okay, in the Gulf of Aden, out there off the coast of Somalia, where for a heavy price you can get on the ship, and they got the quad deuces on the side, or the quad dushkas, if I guess the Russian equivalent, right? And go out there and spray at some skinnies.
Yeah,
Good time.
the dishka. Oh,
Yep.
ooh.
Double dishka.
So Mario, this topic is interesting enough that I didn't just pull the article and a copy of the original language. We did already point out that this authority already exists within the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, presidential authority to issue letters of marque and reprisal. But let's do this. Let's do it proper. So here's an example of an original letter of marque and reprisal in Congress, May 2nd, 1780, instructions to the captains and commanders of private armed vessels which shall have commissions or letters of marque and reprisal. You may by force of arms subdue and take all ships and other vessels belonging to the crown of Great Britain or any of the subjects thereof on the high seas or between high and low water marks, except the ships or vessels together with their cargoes belonging to any inhabitant or inhabitants of Bermuda, and such other ships and vessels bringing persons with intent to settle and reside within the United States, which you shall suffer to something the commanders thereof, permitting a peaceable search and giving satisfactory information of the contents of the ladings and destinations of the voyages. And you may also allow the enemy by all the means. You may also and you may also annoy the enemy by all the means in your power, by land as well as by water, taking care not to infringe or violate the laws of nations or the laws of neutrality.
So in other words, pirates aren't people. So what this was to bolster the
they're like communists in that way.
The initial United States Navy was kind of nicknamed the Mosquito Fleet, all right, because it was just a handful of small ships. So this was meant to bolster the strength of the nascent United States Navy against the Barbary pirates, given the 1780 date. I'm going to go ahead and assume, all right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Birth of the Marines, crack shot. Marines exist. The British have Marines too. We get that tradition from the Marines, from the British.
Yeah, and that is why the Marines are a department of the Navy. The
Correct.
idea is the Navy goes out and just smashes all the boats until it gets to land, and then you unleash the devil dogs. And my man, if you're on the wrong side of that, that is not the one you want.
Yeah. They're meant to be
Right.
naval infantry for basically amphibious assault and for boarding other ships, okay, by force.
Yeah, you send the army when you want to obliterate the enemy and hold their territory and take command and hold it in perpetuity. You
Mhm.
send the Marines when you don't want anything left.
Yeah, they're meant to just kill. They're not meant to hold. They're meant to just destroy and then leave. Correct.
So the Congress is discussing legal privateers again. Cartels are modern pirates. The founders already solved this problem. Yes. The reason we have a Navy, y'all, the Fat Electrician has a great video on the founding of the U.S. Navy that is, if you can get past a bunch of F-bombs, which, I mean, y'all are watching my show, so we're not quite as prolific with them most of the time as the Fat Electrician, but he is a hell of a good storyteller. Go check him out. But yes, the U.S. Navy was founded to deal with pirates, and these cartels, that's what they are. They're engaged in human trafficking, drug smuggling, etc. You know, when you think pirates in like fantasy fiction, usually what you think of is, they pull up alongside a merchant vessel and they're looking for booty, and they're going to go bury treasure on an island that some peg-leg kid is going to go dig up in 100 years. But pirates were largely engaged in smuggling. Yes, raiding other ships and just stealing properties, raiding cities along waterways. Excuse me. Hello, Papa Hiccups there. Yes, that was all on the menu, but pirates were, they were rum runners, they were smugglers, they were slave traders.
Correct.
And that is absolutely what the modern cartels are, right?
Yep.
So I mean the parallels here are just endless. So for that reason alone, I would be totally in favor of this maneuver. Now again, like I said, there's quite a lot of political posturing going on with this bill, I would say, because the fact remains that the president still absolutely has the authority to issue letters of marque and reprisal under the Constitution. That never went away. So what the bill does.
Chris, you always prefer free market solutions towards government solutions anyway. So yeah, by all means.
Absolutely. So
because anything the government can do, a private company can usually do better. All right.
Always. Mm-hmm. There is no exception to that. There is nothing the government has ever done that a private company has not done better and cheaper. Nothing.
Yep.
So what the bill does, it revives the letters of marque and reprisal, and that's actually important. I made the point. I've already made the point a couple times that the president already has this authority, but he hasn't used it. He hasn't been using it, and I think there's a very good argument to say that he should use it. For one, talk about a capital influx into the U.S. economy. I wonder what the taxes are on property that you seize from cartels in the capture of one of their vessels. Now, make no mistake, we are talking about a high-risk endeavor.
You've got to pay the royal fifth, of course.
Of course.
20% tax.
You know what? If 10% is good enough for God, it should be good enough for the U.S. government.
Yeah, I agree. But no, you got to pay 20 to the crown. All right. Or maybe Trump will give you an exception if you buy one of his Trump watches. Okay. Starting at $450. Okay. Available now.
Watch Trump start selling gold-plated, fully armed out freaking privateer yachts.
Aaron Olson asked an excellent question, but how will congressmen get their cocaine? Well, you see, Aaron.
Well, that's easy.
We're the new.
You remit it through your royal fifth.
Yeah, that's that's a good question. Like, what am I? I don't know, Chris. I don't feel comfortable having a bunch of stacks of cocaine bricks lying around like it was a building block, like a kid with building blocks. Okay, that kind of concerns me. I don't have a cocaine problem. Okay, but with enough of it around me, I could end up like Jared Leto from Lord of War. Okay, and I don't want that to happen.
That's
Hold
a
me back.
great film.
You did-
Oh,
Yeah, exactly. Wait, Chris, when you when you walk in the room, okay, and you see me there with a outline of the United States of America in cocaine powder, that's when you know it's like, okay, yeah, Mario's lost.
there's a cartoon Archer. Uh, there's a sequence in there where they get into the drug business and they're
Yeah,
trying to smuggle a bunch of cocaine. So they make a full body cast out of it and put it on one of the
yeah,
secretaries.
mhm,
And of course, it just starts weeping into her pores as she's wearing this full body cast.
yep,
And she's a big old fat girl, but once they take the body cast off, she's totally ripped. And by the time they're actually ready to take the cast off, she's just started taking bites out of it and chewing it.
oof. I would I would travel into the inner city and just start handing out free kilos of cocaine. Okay, ruining the local illicit businesses. Okay, running.
Yeah, you would collapse entire drug cartel economies.
That's right. Crips and Bloods going out of business. They can't compete with Mario's free candy.
The
just
candy man
just to,
can, my man.
just to fucking troll them. No, they call me call me the
And
candy
in
man.
reality, I think what this will look like is you'll have basically LLCs that get a letter of get the letters of marque and reprisal for their organization, and they'll headquarter somewhere near the coast, and they'll buy a bunch of frickin' connexes, and you come in and you offload all the cocaine that you secured and load it in the connexes, and then you report to the government, hey, we seized 27 keys of cocaine off of this one raft that we just took down. and and you've got some guy in the corner saying, no, it was 30, shut the fuck up. And you've got it in the connex locked up, and they send somebody from the DEA down to inventory and collect it and pay you for it.
Right. Yep.
Jesus Christ, Kate.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I'm just gonna ignore it. Okay.
Oh no, I get it. He's excited about the prospect.
Yeah, I figured.
So, guardrails. There are some guardrails in the bill, and I got to say these are. I'm not entirely comfortable with the acts of aggression required piece, because in theory, what you're looking for is people to go out and actively hunt the pirates. So, are you telling me that basically what I have to do is get close to something I think is a pirate and wait for them to open fire? Fuck that. I, I want to be able to just take my yacht out, spot a Venezuelan flag, and basically bring the rain, go and collect the valuable property, and call it in and float away. Presidential authorization, well, that's a no-brainer because it is a presidential authority to issue the mark. So once you have the letter of marque and reprisal, what you have is presidential authorization.
Right.
Security bonds.
Oh, great. We got to have insurance. And fuck that. Now it's not fun.
Yeah.
Now it's not fun. You got to have insurance to go hunt cartelinos. I don't think so.
And it's listed in the bill as a guardrail, seizure of cartel assets. I don't understand how that's a guardrail, really. It's an authority that you receive under a letter of marque and reprisal is that when you encounter and eliminate the enemy, you are authorized to seize their assets. Now that sort of effectively makes civil asset forfeiture an authority that can be exercised by a marked citizen, and that's pretty cool. Frankly, if you were to tell me that I could conduct legal asset seizure on drug dealers generally, that might just be what I do in the evenings.
Maybe by seizure of cartel assets, they mean the government is going to seize the drugs. Maybe that's what they mean.
No, it's explicitly authorized that as a privateer, you have the authority to seize cartel assets. So you take out a drug boat, a Venezuelan drug cartel boat, and it's full of cocaine and money, then you get the money. I'm less clear now on what the rules are for the drugs. I guess in theory, if you're seizing cocaine in international waters where there's no law against possessing it or using it, then you could do with it what you will as long as you don't bring it back into the U.S. So I guess you could seize it and then go and try to sell it in another country and be completely right with the law of the U.S. Yeah. Bit Daddy says keep the cash, turn over the drugs. That's how I'd like to see this work. Honestly, I'd love to see a frickin' deep sea fishing yacht come in, and the DEA is basically waiting on the pier because they called them in and said, "Hey, we're coming in to turn some over," and you show up and you say, "Here's the 100 keys we seized. We're going to need a receipt for that because you owe us the value of the drugs. We performed a service and we expect to be paid for it."
Yeah. Crackshot says the sequel to Cocaine Bear, Cocaine Sharks near Venezuela. I actually seriously wondered what the environmental impact would be if you're blowing up like a boat. You're blowing up boats like loaded to the gills with fentanyl. You know what I mean? Fentanyl, extremely concentrated, dangerous drug. What happens when all that fentanyl dumps into the water? Okay. Like, do we have sharks down there doing like the Kensington Square like zombie dance? You know what I mean? Like trying to swim. Like, we bent over backwards in an unnatural position, but just continuing to swim. Like, yeah, I don't know. CERN.
Yeah. Cocaine. Have you seen Cocaine Bear, Mario?
Yeah, I have. Or you're sitting down to you're at a fish camp, and you're sitting down to a plate of fresh, just caught, never frozen shrimp, and you get to your third shrimp, and you're starting to feel real sleepy. Like, oh man, what's going on?
Or you get to your third shrimp and you're ready to file everybody's taxes right now.
One or the other.
So what it's not vigilantism, not domestic enforcement, not replacing the military. So the Coast Guard would still retain absolute authority if you had privateers and Coast Guard come across the same bad guy boat at the same time. As domestic enforcement, this does not authorize operations for recipient of a letter of marque and reprisal within the U.S. territory, as we said earlier. This is for conduct outside of U.S. territory on land and sea, though. So, in theory, that could extend to we're just going to pull up to the compound in Venezuela and go to work. I'm not saying I know that. I'm not stating that to be an absolute fact. I'm saying there is a reasonable interpretation there that does justify that kind of activity. Mm-hmm. But it's not vigilantism. It is more akin to being to kind of an emergency deputization, right? The town is under attack, so the sheriff says you've all been deputized. Now get to work.
Well, letter of marque is the opposite of vigilantism.
Correct. What it is it takes vigilantes, recognizes them as valuable to the government, and the government says we authorize your activity. You are now licensed. You are no longer outlaws. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of the pre-safety brief piece. in all seriousness, this kind of activity, this is not weekend warrior shit, right? The boats that you would be interdicting if you were to get involved and actually get yourself a letter of marque and reprisal, you need a boarding team. You need some heavy artillery. I kind of cracked wise earlier about the quad deuce, which if you're not familiar with, I think I have an image. Yeah, on the next slide. That's actually not a quad deuce. That's a different.
That's a
different AA gun.
That's a 20 millimeter.
Yeah. So the quad deuce, the Maw Deuce, a 50 caliber machine gun, butterfly triggers. The quad deuce is 4 of those mounted together with kind of a timing belt running between them, so that they move in rhythm. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4.
It's like
if you've never put your thumbs on the butterfly of a Maw Deuce, then you don't really know what an erection is.
Yeah. The quad deuce is basically the X-wing, okay, from Star Wars. It's
exactly.
So yeah, Danny, you could get yourself killed. You don't say. This is, in fact, this is like, this is like a fly trap, okay, for patriotic but stupid people. All right, you're going to get a lot of people killed.
I ain't gonna lie. There's going to be some. There are going to be some dudes who get this wrong. But yeah, you definitely want the the crew served weapons on the boat. Vehicle mounted crew served weapons. You want to chew the enemy up as much as you can before you try to board, and then you want to board with shotguns. You want a full loadout: shotgun, carbines, duty pistol. So you've got your sidearm.
Well, you're not going to have
a chest of your hip. You want to board with your rifle slung, using the shotgun for immediate close range, and then you're gonna transition to your main battle rifle to clear the inner decks of the vessel. This is not light work. I unfortunately I had to turn down an offer several years ago, right after I got out of the Army. One of my battle buddies tried to get me roped into hunting pirates in Djibouti, and the pay was great. They were going to buy my loadout. They'd had almost $150,000 just in my loadout, between my main battle rifle, sidearm, body armor, etc.
Yep.
But we had just had a second kid, and we're already planning on a third one. And my poor wife had already spent a year as an active duty sailor in a geographic bachelor position, doing the single mom full-time job deal while I was off hunting terrorists in Afghanistan, and I just couldn't do it to her again. I know this. I know that I couldn't do it to her again because she told me that.
My ex-wife greatly enjoyed the year I spent in Iraq. That's what I was told.
Damn, son.
Anyway, so yeah, look, you're not going to have a Maw Deuce, okay?
Frankly,
so
I wouldn't know because as those friends of the show that know us know, that was the same year. Mario was in Iraq and I was in Afghanistan.
We're apart by about 6 months. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, you're not going to have a Maw Deuce for this. Okay. So what's your next best thing? You need to have a guy on the boat who has a Barrett 50. Okay. That is what you're going to be using as you approach the vessel. Okay. You're going to need binoculars, telescope, whatever you got. Okay. And zoom in, and you can start taking shots with your 50. All right. When you get within a closer range, then yes, the AR-15s come into play. And before boarding, I would highly recommend basically just pelting the entire deck of the ship with birdshot. Okay, it's enough to aggravate and stir up anyone who might be hiding under loose items. Okay, but it's not going to sink the ship. All right, so that's the key. That's the key thing, right?
One might be tempted to say don't underestimate the value of grenades, but it's easy to underestimate the power of grenades. Hollywood doesn't do them justice. If you've never actually thrown a grenade, that's an experience. That is an
Right.
eye opener.
Oh, and the number one thing that you need to be that equally important to weapons, okay? Bring plenty of fire extinguishers, okay?
Yes.
Not just for your own vessel, okay, but for vessel that you're trying to capture, okay? Because what
In
good
fact,
is
if
it?
this
What
goes through, it might be worthwhile to invest in that company that's making the fire extinguisher bomb balls. You've seen it looks like the red dodgeball. You throw it into a fire and it pops and disperses a chemical powder that rapidly extinguishes the fire.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Chemical
that
powder
would
that,
probably be a good
yeah.
investment to make sure that you can recover the vessel. And yeah, tow rope. I mean, your seasoned property sees it all,
Mhm.
right? No need to bring the enemy onto your own vessel where they could potentially foment mutiny. Fuck
Yeah.
that. Zip tie them to one another face down on the floorboards of their own ship and tow that son of a bitch back into harbor.
Mhm. Yeah. That's right. Everyone needs to watch Master and Commander on the Far Side of the World before it's part of the when you sign your waiver, all right, for risking life and limb, you also have to watch Master and Commander, okay, to get you in the right theme, right state of mind. So,
Yeah, and that actually brings up another thing that I want to talk about a little bit that we've talked about before. You get these multimillionaire adventure seekers that they want to take their sails only yacht and do the man thing. And hey, yeah, power to you, brother. If you want to sail around the world under the power of wind alone, go for it. That sounds like a hell of a great adventure. I bet it'd be a blast. In fact, I can't say I'm totally interested, but I wouldn't be opposed. But here's the thing: we spend millions of dollars on sending the Coast Guard out to rescue those guys. If I had my way, you would sign a waiver to the government explicitly stating your understanding that you are taking this risk upon yourself, and we will not be deploying helicopters to come save your ass from your own stupid mistakes.
no, I don't need you to move the car or do anything. Hey, hold on. I got to. I'll be right back.
Yeah,
I gotta help. I gotta help someone.
no problem. Oh my god. So I'll remind you that kind of broke my train of thought there. Oh yeah, if you go out and you make mistakes, the American people should not be on the hook with their tax dollars to bail you out from your own stupid mistakes. Now that said, there should absolutely be a mechanism if privateers are conducting activities against the known enemies of the United States of America. Maybe the thing is, hey, I've ID'd a cartel ship. We're preparing to interdict, and we're calling in for backup. And hopefully, what happens is the privateers get all the work done, seize the property, right, and body camera, prove what you've done. And then the Coast Guard shows up when all that work is done and they can do the mop up. That also solves the question of what to do with the cocaine, because now the Coast Guard can just show up and write you a check. Did you just come back, Mario? Yeah. I thought I heard you put your headphones back on.
You did
So
indeed.
one of the things that'll be fun to talk about as this bill is debated in the Senate, and let's be real, I don't think the bill's going to go anywhere in the Senate. It's going to be like MTG's bill that just came out of the House that says you're not allowed to mutilate children anymore. You sicko sociopaths have to stop cutting the dicks and tits off of little kids. It's going to get to the Senate, and it's just going to drown under the weight of sacrifice to ecumenical politics. I suspect this bill will have a similar fate. It might get through the House, but it will not pass in the Senate. But it does serve to fuel the national conversation. And the gun grabber needs to be reminded when they start talking about weapons of war, and all that nonsense. When the founders were asked, wait, does the Second Amendment mean I can have cannons on my ship? They said, well, obviously.
Yeah.
You don't need a license for that. The Second Amendment says very clearly the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. In fact, we even put the preparatory clause that says because the security of a free state, because it is necessary to the security of a free state, the right to keep and bear arms, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Right? And to infringe means to put anything near to it. So all gun laws are illegal. All gun laws are an affront and an offense to the Constitution and the spirit of the American people. And absolutely, private merchant ships. We're not even talking about privateers now. At the time of the founding, private merchant vessels would be armed with cannon because, pirates were a thing. And by the way, today, pirates are still a thing. In fact, this is something that most people don't know. If you buy yourself a big old boat, something you can go out into deep water with, out into international waters on, a nice big mega yacht or what have you, and you think it'll be cute to fly the Jolly Roger and sing sea shanties, hey, drink your rum, sing your sea shanties, you're good to go. But the Coast Guard will absolutely treat you as a pirate vessel if you're flying one of the Jolly Roger variants. That's just a thing.
Has that ever happened?
Yes.
Has it ever happened as pleasure cruisers out, basically drunk as fuck, out on the open waters, flying a Jolly Roger, and then they get interdicted by the Coast Guard?
Let me see if I can find an example real quick.
And they get a stern talking to, like, no, you're not allowed to do this. Do you have a First Amendment in international waters? I don't know. I don't think you do.
You do. We can have that. We can have that conversation in. We can have that conversation in great detail. But the fact is that the way the Constitution works, the way the assumption of our rights works, is you always have, and every person on planet Earth has, all of the rights that are laid out by the Constitution, that are enumerated in the Constitution. Those are your innate natural rights given to you by God, and you have that right whether you like it or not. As far as the government's interest goes, within the sovereign territory of the United States, it is the government's responsibility to protect those rights.
Yeah, within the United States territory.
Right. So once you get outside of the United States territory, you have the right to free speech, but the United States does not have the responsibility to protect that right on your behalf.
Pretty sure.
So if you live in a shit country like the UK or Australia, where they'll lock your ass up for a social media post, the American position on that legally is you absolutely had the right to post that shit on the internet, but because you pay taxes to another sovereign entity, we do not have the authority to defend your right to say it.
Right. Well, the thing in Australia, I mean, the two shooters, the father and son duo, okay, and remember the family that jihads together stays together, okay. The father and son duo, they had like 6 legally owned firearms. So the government gave them their permission slips to own semi-automatic weapons. So I don't know, it's their fucking fault. It's the Australian government's fault, okay? Because you didn't want to be racist, so you gave guns to Arabs, all right, and denied guns to your own people. And then this is what happens. They just busted up another cell of them who were headed down to Bondi to shoot up the place, like just the other day, right? Ridiculous. Anyway, would the ATF classify that cannon there in that photograph as a destructive weapon or destructive device? I think they would.
Actually, I'm not entirely clear, honestly, on how the ATF treats cannons. They don't get a lot of publicity because nobody's. When's the last time you saw an armed self-defense story When's the last time we had a DGU that involved a cannon? Much to my dismay, I cannot recall one.
Well, I guess if you want to experiment, you could start building extravagant potato cannons. All right, and film yourself firing them, and wait until someone from the government comes and pays you a visit. Okay, to help clarify to you exactly what you can and cannot do.
Yeah, I mean, in my wettest of dreams, I imagine myself in my backyard, eliminating trespassers entering the front of my property with a trebuchet.
Yeah. Or basically build a potato cannon. Okay, except instead of PVC, it's galvanized steel, and instead of ethanol, it's gasoline. All right.
So the constitutional through line, American strength, liberty, and prosperity all rely on armed citizens, lawful authority, and moral clarity. Right? You know, it cannot be understated that the principle that a constitutional republic such as the one we have is only suited to a moral and religious people, and that the armament of those people is not just a necessary element of their ability to retain that liberty and prosperity, but like we discussed in great detail on the deep dive this past Saturday, it is not possible for a man to be morally good unless he is also dangerous. If a man is not capable of great violence, he cannot be morally good, because without the ability to employ great violence when it is morally appropriate, and you have that clarity of moral correctness, then you do not have the choice to do a good thing. You can only surrender. You can only surrender to the needful.
Needful.
Before Mario has to go, let me just remind you guys that when we're talking about the Coast Guard, this is an option.
Go!
I love this clip.
That's gonna be hard to get on. Alto to Fargo!
Alto to Fargo, stop your boat.
Are they pulling over a sub?
Yes. Have you not seen this?
No. It's good times.
The biggest balls ever. I'm just going to jump on your sub and knock on the fucking hatch. Wake up, son. I'm coming to get you.
Yeah, man. Imagine the Venezuelans inside the in the bridge of that submarine. They hear like donk, 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 and looking at each other like, no, you're kidding, right? This can't be real.
Pit Danny says, now that's a Marine. Now, in all fairness, Pit Danny, that's Coast Guard. That was the Coast Guard, but yes.
They're the extra special Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Every branch, even if it's Department of Homeland Security, like the Coast Guard is going to have their own special forces, if you will.
So, so here's your safety brief. Pirates are dangerous and submarines are slippery. I absolutely support this activity. I wish a much younger me would probably be very, very interested in going out after this. Unfortunately, now I'm not entirely sure I can take the trash out without throwing my back out anymore. But, once upon a time, God. So
we need to get you one of those large robots like Krang and Ninja Turtles, where you can just sit inside of it and control the bot. That would be but
the problem, Mario, the Krang robot was significantly larger than an average human. A Krang robot in which I could sit and pilot would be Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, and if we're scaling you to Krang, okay, Krang is basically the size of a basketball with tentacles. With some people out there, what the fuck are wrong with you? Krang. Okay, got it.
You mentioned that. My kids have been watching the new Ninja Turtles, and they changed it a little bit there. The new Krang is a whole race of Krangs.
Oh, God.
So there are armies of Krangs.
Cade says that Krang is voiced by Roseanne Barr in the newer show. Is that a troll or is that real?
You know what? I don't know. I'd have to check that out. I'd have to double check that. But it wouldn't surprise me. All right, guys. We're going to have to put a pin in it right there because Mario's got to get going. Thanks for being with us this morning, Mario. You guys, thanks for watching this morning. Be safe out there. Keep calm and carry one. And before you go and get your letters of marque and reprisal, I highly recommend non-slip shoes.
Non-slip shoes.
Non-slip shoes.
And you need it, and 2 fire extinguishers. 1 is not enough.
Correct. 2 fire extinguishers, and yes, you need a main battle rifle, a shotgun, and a vehicle-mounted crew-serve machine gun. Yeah. Don't fuck that up.
Yeah, and as an added bonus, having some basic knowledge of, I don't actually no, never mind. I'm not going to say how to manufacture. I'm not going to say that on the air. But yeah, that would help too.
Y'all be safe out there, guys. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.
Ciao.
Oh, that's the wrong button. That's not what was supposed to happen.
Ciao.
There you go.
Oh, man.
Pirates, baby. I love it. Patriots of the Caribbean. Just
yeah, that is. Yeah, that is.